Well, hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Empowering Government Agencies with Secure Data Exchange Services. This presentation is being brought to you by DataMotion, a leading provider of secure data exchange solutions. My name is Pete Cafarcio, Vice President of Business Development, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available to you. We'll also have time at the end of the session to address any questions you might have. Please type your questions in the chat tab found at the bottom of your screen. If you have any technical difficulties with the webcast, please contact technical support. And for information on DataMotion, please visit www.datamotion.com. So let's get started with today's presentation. Next. Let's face it, people love their mobile devices, apps, and services, and for good reason. They're efficient, they're accessible, and they give immediate results. And people now expect their business organizations to provide them a similar experience, and that includes government agencies. You may have heard the term the consumerization of IT. This trend has raised the bar on serving your citizens and your employees, which is challenging in and of itself. But when the information includes personally identifiable information or protected health information, migrating existing processes can violate regulatory compliance. Next. Your constituents want convenience and speed, but they also expect government agencies to protect their privacy. Unfortunately, the digital world is not a safe place, and exchanging their information online can be fraught with security and compliance risks. Certain personal, financial, and medical information must be protected by organizations that exchange that information, and there are stiff penalties for noncompliance. And those regulations exist because there are real security threats on the internet, and the resulting exposure has real costs associated with it. Things like identity theft and financial loss. And when security is not required by regulations, organizations still have private data and intellectual property that shouldn't be exposed. And lastly, the risk of data breach carries implications for your organization's reputation. All of these risk factors drive the need to use secure data exchange services for security and compliance. Next. So when it comes to exchanging confidential information in the enterprise, there's a tension between the goals of the Chief Information Security Officer and business leaders. It's kind of like a tug of war. Security and compliance executives need to keep a tight rein on information usage to protect their organization, citizens, and partners from risk and loss, and to comply with regulations. Meanwhile, agency executives need to exchange information with other departments, citizens, and partners quickly and efficiently to draw more value from their business processes and to roll out new initiatives. Next. And without the right tools, this tension has forced many organizations to cling to legacy processes that seem like dinosaurs in today's mobile connected world. Paper, fax, postal mail and courier services, even old legacy applications on old IT infrastructure may block progress. And this can frustrate your employees, your citizens, and your partners. Next. So to both enable new workflows and to protect sensitive data, there we go. And to protect sensitive data, we provide the SDX platform for secure data exchange services. Secure data exchange services encrypt, transport, and track your sensitive data as it travels across the internet. These exchanges can be between individual users, systems, or applications, and that data can be sent from any source in virtually any format to any destination or end user. Next. At a high level, your internal systems and workflows connect with the SDX platform to securely transport sensitive data to the external endpoints. The platform provides APIs, secure protocols, and connectors to facilitate multiple modes of data exchange, such as encrypted email and direct secure messaging. It also handles automated and ad hoc file transfers and can exchange data from HTML web forms and PDF forms. And it can be provisioned in a public cloud, a private cloud, or in your own data center. Next. And now we're going to cover some use cases to help you see how secure data exchange works in real-life situations. Next. Okay. Our first use case is the study of a large state's Department of Law Enforcement. They needed an efficient digital process to deliver FBI background check reports, over 4 million of them annually. They converted a legacy paper and courier-based process to a digital delivery service. And in addition to improving response times and customer service, they also went from being a cost center to the state to a profit center. Next. The Department of Law Enforcement has an SDX services platform deployed in their own secure data center. That's required by CJIS security standards. And over 1 million background checks are retrieved from the FBI database and distributed using SDX services. In the case of small employers, like, for instance, a daycare center, the report is delivered as a file attached to an encrypted email. But in the case of a big employer, like a major theme park, the reports are delivered by our Web Services API. That allows the SDX platform to deliver thousands of reports right into the park's human resources application. One solution, multiple delivery methods, and it's automatically determined. Okay. Next. Our next use case is of a Mid-Atlantic States Office of Information Technology. And they needed a new managed file transfer process to automate regular financial reporting between vendors, municipalities, and the state. And they also needed a single source for logging and tracking all the file exchanges. And the state has seen huge benefits by migrating to the DataMotion SDX. The service delivers automated, trackable file transfers across multiple platforms. That includes client-server, mainframe, and other sources of data. The state now has over 1,500 file exchange workflows established with external third parties, and overall costs were just 1/10 of the commercial software licenses that they were paying. Next. And reading this from right to left, you can see the workflow here, different servers and, like I said, mainframe, client server, individuals from their desktops, all can upload files to be transferred through, passes through their firewall securely, only replies upon request to the SDX platform, and then can get delivered out to individuals or out to larger systems. When they deployed the platform as a common shared service, they made that available to all the state agencies. Common shared service that they can tap into. They use it to transfer files for financial reporting with municipalities and contractors. And by leveraging the services in the cloud, they were able to integrate their legacy mainframe and data stores and eliminate an older integration engine that was driven by complex, undocumented script processes. The flexible delivery process serves the needs of small municipalities with an easy-to-use interface, as well as large cities doing systematic uploads and file retrievals. Next. And our final use case involves a state social services agency. The Department of Children and Families needed a secure, automated way to collect information from families and schools to help prevent teen suicides. The inefficient paper form process wasn't allowing field caseworkers to respond quickly enough, so they needed to transform it to a digital process. But this data is highly sensitive, as you can imagine, so security and personal privacy were a very high priority, and it needed to be easily accessible by all the reporting organizations who might not have much IT sophistication. Next. So the department leveraged the STX Secure Forms capability to enable a web form on a special landing page of the DCF public website. Now, when there's a youth safety incident, the provider can send a report through the DCF website using a secure web form. The SCX platform ensures that sensitive data is always encrypted during transport after the user clicks the submit button. And the SCX platform sends the data to the department, where an applet converts and aggregates the data for use by the department's internal systems. Next. So we're at the end of our presentation. Today I've given you an overview of the secure data exchange services, and we've looked at just a few of the many use cases. At this point, we'll take your questions. Please type your questions in the chat tab found at the bottom of your screen. We've also made a data sheet of the SDX platform available to you. You can find it on the Attachments tab at the bottom of your screen. So I'll just wait. Oh, we already have one question that I'll start to answer, but I will wait for you to enter your questions and attempt to answer them here. The first one came in. Is this only a cloud service, or can it be deployed in a data center? Okay. So it's a hosted service. You can deploy it in a public cloud, a private cloud, or it can be deployed in your own data center. DataMotion as a company actually leverages all three of those. We do some private cloud hosting for some of our larger clients. We have a colo facility where we'll host it. Some of our customers, in fact, the Department of Law Enforcement use case that I mentioned a little earlier, they have this deployed in their own data center. And then we even have hybrid as well. We have some people that deploy like a DLP gateway on premise, and that will speak with our cloud hosted services as well. So yeah, all of those can be leveraged. It just depends on what your requirements are. In some cases, it's a financial analysis, and we'll work with you on that if needed. Okay, and here's a second, talking about email encryption. Is email encryption and file transfer part of the secure data exchange services platform? Okay, yes, both are. Email encryption is one. Let me back up. The platform, the secure data exchange services platform, can move all types of data and a lot of different protocols. Email encryption is one of the more mature services that DataMotion's rolled out. It's part of the platform, so it has more polished user interface and it has more features, as is the file transfer. But you can also move data using like web services APIs, just raw data over a lot of other kinds of protocols. But they are included, I should say that, and you can stitch those in and leverage those for for whatever your needs are. You're not limited by those, but they're definitely included. Let's see. Okay, question about the security of the data center. So yeah, we host some very large global companies, and we've passed audit by companies like Berkshire Hathaway, Johnson & Johnson, um, uh, Dell Computer, some very large global banks. And so we've had to pass a lot of different certifications. We have the SAE, SSAE 116, and certification. We use AES 256 encryption in certain deployments. This is a CGIS certified deployment. There's a couple other factors that go into that. So yeah, we've passed muster, and we will definitely work with you on security. Let me say this: we haven't yet run into a situation where someone couldn't deploy our solution because of the security levels. In most cases, you'll be surprised that it actually exceeds what you need. So but that's a very good question. And again, we're using you know, high grade encryption there as well. Okay. So be free to just enter any more questions here. Okay, here's a question on, yes, we did mention that in one case, the platform is being used as a shared service across multiple agencies, and the question is, can that be used, is there reporting that can be used as chargeback to departments? Yes, definitely. We have some customers that do that. We have full extensive reporting and tracking. You can see every transaction that goes through this. Little side note, you cannot see the content of the transactions. That's encrypted and it's private. But what you can see is the metadata. So every transaction that comes through, every file transfer, every message, every report, whatever gets transferred, we store that metadata. And you can, if you have admin privileges, you can get reporting on that, and you can definitely use that as chargebacks for the departments that are using it. We also have some customers, it's actually more of the federal space, they use it to prove service level agreements. They have both internal SLAs they need to meet as well as SLAs with their partner agencies. And actually, at one point, they were getting complaints and accusations that they weren't delivering promised reports. And then when they deployed DataMotion SDX platform, they were able to prove, yes, this was delivered. It was time-stamped. We had email addresses that it was delivered. And DataMotion will also report on the disposition of the data. So, like, it was you were notified, but you didn't download it or you didn't open it. We can track down to very, very fine-grained details on that. So yeah, good question. Okay, other questions? Feel free to. Okay, one came in. Tell me more about your APIs. And okay, yeah. So we have APIs that expose multiple functions of the platform. We have RESTful APIs for web services. They're in different formats, and we make all of these available with full documentation and really an SDK. Most of these also have sample code and sample applications, and we can get you the URL for that. In fact, I'm thinking if I can find it really quick, we could do it even right now on the call. But I think, is it, here it is. Hold on for just a sec. It is developers, plural, developers.datamotion.com. Okay, so our APIs are all there. There's functions for administration, to create a message, to provision an account, all different kinds, and there's full documentation on that. So go ahead and take a look there if you're interested in exploring. DataMotion is, committed to being part of the whole API approach toward development. We see our services as being a component of larger workflows. This is a great way for you to just take when you need to move data. I know that this needs to be secure, it needs to be compliant. I'm going to leverage the DataMotion platform to move my data from one point to another, and then you can take care of the endpoints, you can take care of the other parts of the coding, but DataMotion will take care of the transfer, the exchange there. If you think about our company's name, DataMotion, we'll move that data. We'll make sure it's exchanged properly, it's always secure, always compliant. It can only be transferred encrypted. It needs to be validated, or the endpoints need to be validated and authenticated before we'll transfer the data. But when those things are in place, then we'll just move it along, and you can complete the other ends of your workflows. Good question. Thanks. Okay. Here's a question about use on mobile devices. I think I mentioned earlier in the presentation that we have RESTful APIs. And those can be integrated in with your mobile apps. If you have your own mobile app that you've created, we have a very large health insurance company that leverages their mobile app by stitching it in with DataMotion's RESTful API to move secure messages from their app into their customer service center. You can imagine for health insurance that there's certainly HIPAA is just one of the regulations that they fall under, and so they're able to stitch the APIs into their mobile app, and then we connect actually into Salesforce Service Cloud for their customer service center on the other side. People don't even see DataMotion in that case; they just see the app, and the customer service reps are just using the Salesforce Service Cloud. Little side note that the time it took to get that up and running for the proof of concept, they did it in 15 hours to connect the RESTful API and to connect it with Salesforce. In 15 hours, they were able to do a proof of concept, and their executive team loved it. So just to show you that it works, it's efficient, it's simple, and it's well documented. There's another aspect of mobile too. I don't want to forget this. I mentioned a little earlier that the email encryption is a more mature solution, if you will. It's a component of the platform. Those things like that in our file transfer, those experiences have been optimized for mobile screens. So you actually don't even have to have an app to use those. But if someone's on a mobile device and they want to receive those secure email or whatever, it'll automatically show in a very simplified interface and make it very easy to use. And it can also be stitched. It can also be integrated in with your phone's native mail applications as well, the ones that are native. So you can just set up a simple integration there for ease of use. Let's see. Okay, any other questions? I want to encourage you to type those in. Just want to mention again, our website is www.datamotion.com. Want to remind you that there is a solution sheet available in the attachments if you just go to the bottom of your screen, and we'll also have a PDF of this slide presentation that you can use. Feel free to circulate that internally, and certainly contact DataMotion and we will help you with any questions that you have. Here's another question. What kind of experience do you have working with state governments? So we're thoroughly embedded in many state governments. We're very strong in 8 of them, and within those 8, we're involved with multiple agencies. We also have plenty of county and city government as well, and we're integrated in an important back-end service in the UK national government with a service called Citizens Advice. So in a lot of these workflows, we're just, like I said, we're moving data from one point to another to complete workflows. We're in. I'll give you a couple other examples. We're in a few different departments of justice. We're in one of the court systems to move court cases around as more of a file transfer approach. In one state, we're transferring fingerprint data. Again, that comes under the CGIS certification, but we're moving fingerprint data between law enforcement agencies and FBI. I'm trying to think of some other file transfers. We talked about those. Email encryption. There's one Midwestern state that we're doing the entire email encryption for all of their employees when they have sensitive data that goes out. And there's other use cases as well. But we're just giving you these ideas to seed your thinking. But what you want to look for is a situation where you need to modernize a workflow, but you're concerned about security and compliance. Talk to DataMotion, and in many cases, we'll be able to help you. If not, we can point you maybe to someone else who can. Okay, if there are no other questions, and I see no others in the queue, I'm going to end at this point. And want to thank you very much for attending today's presentation, Empowering Government Agencies with Secure Data Exchange Services. Thank you for joining us today. If you have additional questions, please feel free to contact us. A recording of the webinar will be made available to you shortly. And again, don't forget the handouts in the Attachments tab at the bottom of the screen. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.